We want to turn now to a major piece of the affordability equation for many Americans, the cost of health care. We spent a lot of time talking about this. Congress remains divided not just on how to fix the expiring Affordable Care Act tax credits, but whether it even needs to happen. The president this week seemed to rule out an extension of those subsidies, even as a recent poll from the Health Policy Research Group KFF finds most Americans support Congress extending the tax credits, and a majority view the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, favorably. On Capitol Hill, there are multiple plans, but so far, zero consensus.
The House Democratic position is very clear, very simple, very easy, very straightforward. A 3-year extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits.
If Cassidy's proposal, as I understand it, replaces them, looks like it's privatizing health insurance, and it looks like it's really problematic, and particularly problematic to do very quickly.
I have supported extending the ACA enhanced tax credit for a year so that we can actually focus on addressing the longer-term issues with health care and why it is unaffordable for every American.
We can't continue to subsidize this failure. If people are given the money to make their own decisions and buy what works best for them and for their families, I think that the choice, the opportunities are much, much better.
Joining me now on set to talk about their own bipartisan proposal on those Affordable Care Act subsidies, Democratic Congressman Sam Liccardo and Republican Congressman Kevin Kiley, both from California. Their proposal would extend ACA tax credits for 2 years and pay for it by capping eligibility and cracking down on Medicare Advantage payouts to insurers. Thanks so much to both of you for being here.
Great to be with you.
Really appreciate it. So let's dive right into this. Congressman Liccardo, we just heard there's a lot of different plans out there, not a lot of consensus. Consensus at this table. Why is this proposal the best?
Well, Kevin and I worked on a plan that would accomplish 3 things. First, to address the skyrocketing health insurance premiums that tens of millions of Americans are grappling with. Second, find a way to pay for it, and that's obviously a controversial topic. And third, do it in a way that's bipartisan. We know it needs to get past the Senate, so it needs both Democratic and Republican support. So this is certainly one idea. There may be better ones, but it's important for us to actually have something that qualifies under each of those criteria.
Congressman Kiley, have you had conversations with your colleagues? Do you get the sense that there is support for this bipartisan legislation that you all are proposing?
I do. I mean, number one, as we just saw, there are a number of Republicans who believe that we do need to do something here, that we can't just let 22 million Americans suddenly see this huge increase in health care cost thousands of dollars. But also, the components of this that Sam just listed are really crucial in that they make it so that we can actually have this extension without increasing the deficit and without raising taxes, and by making reforms that actually make the program work a lot better. So I think that those are the key pieces that are actually going to lead to a bipartisan deal.
You know, it's interesting. Your Republican colleague, Congressman Kiggins, also has a bill for temporary extensions. I believe that's only for 1 year, though. Why not join forces? Would there not be strength in numbers? Why don't you start first?
Well, I think we have joined forces. All of us are interested in finding a solution. I don't think either Sam or I are going to say, no, this is the one and only thing to do. But I think that we've put forward a framework that is a great compromise. I don't think that anyone's going to say that this gives them 100% of what they want. But I think it gives enough sort of, constituencies or groups of members in the House enough of what they want that it could be the basis.
I do have to ask you about President Trump's proposal, which is direct payments. Congressman Liccardo, is that something that you think ultimately could be realistic?
Well, I don't see it as a substitute for what we need to do, which is to help tens of millions of Americans be able to pay for their health premiums. What we know about HSA, for example, is it typically can't be used for insurance premiums. If you've got cancer, if you've got a chronic illness of some kind, that money is going to go very quickly. The whole point of having insurance is to protect all of us and give us the peace of mind to know that we may have a very serious illness and still be able to find a way to pay for it.
Congressman Kiley, how about you? Do you think that could ultimately be a long-term solution?
I think it could. I'm a fan of health savings accounts and giving that kind of choice to consumers. But what Representative Liccardo said is correct, that right now there's this restriction on using it for premium support. Now, there's a theory that, well, maybe then you can have a higher deductible plan, and so that will level out the costs. I'm a little skeptical that we'll be able to figure anything like that out in a month and a half, which is when this cliff is going to hit. So that's why we're saying, let's extend this for 2 years. Let's do it in a fiscally responsible way. And then in the meantime, we can actually work on a long-term solution to the healthcare affordability crisis.
You take me to my next question, Congressman Kiley. You are the party in power. House Speaker Mike Johnson has not committed to bringing a bill to the floor. So let me ask you, do you think that will happen? And do you think it will happen in time before these subsidies start to increase and actually have an impact?
I do think we'll have a vote. I mean, the House will work its will, and I think you have a solid majority in the House that believes that we need to do something, that thinks that doing nothing is not an option here. When you have people who are already facing such a high cost of living, particularly in our state of California, and then you're telling folks, sorry, you're going to suddenly have to pay thousands of dollars more, many thousands more, in some cases for health care. These are independent contractors. These are people who work for small businesses. These are folks who have retired but aren't yet eligible for Medicare. We can't force them to pay such a high price because Congress has failed to act.
Let me ask you a similar question, Congressman Liccardo. Do you think this can get done in time? Because early enrollment has already begun. There are already signs that people's premiums are starting to increase.
Well, based on what we've heard so far from the Speaker, if we get this done, it's going to have to be around the leadership. Now, fortunately, we have some practice with the vote on the Epstein file petition. Clearly, it's going to take enough Republicans and Democrats getting together to say we're going to have to go around the Speaker if the Speaker's not going to allow the vote. Yeah, well, and that you're talking about a discharge petition rarely works, with the exception of this Epstein, you're right, vote. I mean, is that enough to give you confidence? Well, we'll see. I mean, look, we are going to continue these conversations. I had conversations as recently as last night with several Republicans that were very eager to get a deal done. I think there's plenty of room to do this if we're all working together. I want to talk to you all about bipartisanship more broadly. We are coming off of the longest government shutdown in history, where it seemed like it was just impossible to find common ground on this issue of health care. Congressman Liccardo, why do you think it is so challenging? How did we get to this point? Well, I've been here for all of 11 months, so I'm probably not an expert on that subject, but I can tell you what has made a difference. Well, here you are. You found
We're trying to set a different model, here. Right?
Well, I was grateful Kevin said something publicly about supporting ways to help address these healthcare costs, so I reached out to him, and that's really how it has to happen. What amazed me, I probably had conversations with 36 Republicans over the last few weeks on this bill, and what surprised me is how many people were surprised that they got a direct phone call from me. There simply is not enough direct communication from member to member across the aisle. Yeah. Congressman Kiley, same to you.
Yeah, and I give Representative Liccardo credit. He really is walking the walk on those sort of things and reaching out to members on both sides. I've tried to do that as well, and I think we all have a role to play in kind of shifting our paradigm from searching for points of division to searching for points of commonality and trying to actually seek out the common ground where it exists.
Well, let me read you some poll numbers. This is from NPR. 82% of Republicans say they find Democrats closed-minded. 72% say they're dishonest. Among Democrats, 85% find Republicans closed-minded, and 65% say they are dishonest. When you look at those numbers, Congressman Kiley, first to you, how much concern and pause does that give you that the country can move beyond this moment of extreme partisanship and find more bipartisan ways to work together?
Well, it's concerning in that seems to show that this is permeating the whole country, and we've all experienced this in our daily lives. But a lot of it really emanates out of Washington, D.C. here, and the way that we conduct ourselves and the items that are put on the agenda. So I do think it's incumbent on us to try to show that there's a better way. And at the end of the day, I think when you're actually looking for common ground, whether we're talking about folks like us in the halls of Congress or just people out in their communities, when you're actually looking for the values we have in common, there's a lot more there than you might think at first glance.
Congressman Liccardo, what about you when you see those staggering numbers?
Yeah, I think, and I would agree with what Kevin said. This is a lack of leadership, frankly, from Washington. What we've been doing far too often is following the great divide that we see that is spun up between social media and obviously the political establishments. It's time to see leadership that helps us collectively overcome this kind of divide.
Well, here we have today another example of extreme partisanship. You have Democrats saying that some service members should ignore orders if they think they are illegal. The president responded by accusing them of seditious conspiracy. First to you, I just want to get your reactions to what the president accused these Democrats of.
Well, I think it's outrageous, and even more outrageous that he would retweet a post that says hang them. That is on his own Truth Social cite. Look, political violence has no place in America. And this is why many of us believe that Donald Trump has no place in leadership or in the White House. You simply can't have a commander-in-chief who is simultaneously identifying people, my colleagues, all 6 of whom served honorably in the armed services, and pointing to them and saying, oh, they deserve a violent outcome, whatever it is, hanging, whatever it is he's suggesting. Look, what my colleagues urged was simply that the members of the military follow the law. In Article 90 and Article 92 of the Uniform Military Code of Justice is very clear. Not only is there a right not to obey an unlawful order, in fact, there is a duty. There's a duty not to obey an unlawful order. This should have been a non-issue. Instead, the president made it one.
Congressman Kiley, what was your reaction? Did the president's comments make you uncomfortable at all?
Well, of course, I just saw it. I think it's wrong. I think there's no place for that. It's unacceptable. I didn't like the video either, by the way. I think that if you think an order is unlawful, the appropriate thing to do is to challenge that in court. But in any case, we just need to dial down the rhetoric and find ways to remember that we're all Americans here. Final thoughts to both of you, building on that point. If you could talk to your conference, what would you tell them about the importance of trying to dial down the rhetoric, trying to find these common spaces? Well, I mean, I just say, look at everything that we've lived through. You know, we keep having these traumatic incidents that have really just shocked our country. And, you know, the level of rhetoric that we have is, I think, contributing to that environment. And we all came here because we love our country and we want to make a difference and we want to improve people's lives. And when we're yelling at each other and, you know, and engaging in this extreme rhetoric, it makes that very difficult to do. Final thought, Congressman Liccardo.
Yeah, it's time for all of us to lead by example, and we can all do it in our own communities.
All right. Well, what a fantastic conversation. Thanks so much to both of you for being here. Congressman Sam Liccardo and Kevin Kiley, appreciate both of your time today. Thank you.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.